Comparing measures of center and variation. All right, so this week we've been talking about mean, median, and mode. So now we're going to learn how to kind of compare those things, just so that we can see the differences of the different middles or measures for center. All right, so the test scores of students in 4 classes are summarized below. Answer the questions about them. Class A, the mean score is 107, and the range of scores is 34. Class B, Class D. So we get all of these ones. I don't necessarily need to read them all. We can read them here. This is just the example. And then they ask us a question. So based on the information above, which class has the lowest scores on average? And then they say based on the information above, which class scores have the least variability, sorry. All right, so background, we need a little bit of background here. So range, the range of the is the difference between the largest and the smallest numbers. So the bigger the range, when it tells you the range of the scores, means the farther apart the lowest score and the highest score were. So that's what range means, just how many numbers are between your highest and your lowest. It is a measure of variability for a data set. The range indicates how spread out the data is, which I just said. So a small range indicates low variability because it means that the high and low score were closer together. A large range indicates a high variability because, again, the low and the high score were farther apart. A mean, the mean of the data set is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. In other words, the mean is the average. It is the measure of the center for a data set. The mean indicates how high, low or high the values are on average. So this, again, it's another word for average when we hear mean. So when the mean is small, it indicates that the values in a data set are low on average. And when the mean is large, it indicates that the value in a data set are high on average. So now let's go down and actually look at the questions again. So it says, question A, based on the information above, which class has the lowest scores on average? So then they relist the scores for us, and they say, we want to determine which class has the lowest scores on average. To do this, we want to consider a measure of center. The only measure of center that we are given is the mean score of each class. So we compare the given mean. The class that has the lowest score on average is the one with the smallest mean. Class D has the smallest mean score at 106, so Class D has the lowest scores on average. We want to determine which class has the least variability in scores. We do this, we want to consider a measure of variability. The only measure of variability we are given is the range of scores of each class. So we compare the given ranges of the scores. The class that has the least variability in its score is the one with the smallest range. Class B has the smallest range at 32, so Class B has the least variability in its score. So, and I just went through and I read the description here. So we're just taking what we know about the two things, range and mean. So, and we should, I'm going to open my whiteboard here because we should definitely write this down. This is going to be hard to remember on the next page. So for range, whoops, tools on this thing. So range, so just to make sure we remember, small range equals low variability. And a large range equals a high variability. So yes, it takes me a second to write this down, but it's to write it down because it's very likely we're not going to remember exactly what each one of these means. Not necessarily that we won't remember what range means or what mean means in the terms of this one, as far as math goes, but just what a small range and a large range, things like that. So it's difficult to remember what all of these mean. So if we have a small mean, keep using that word, it equals a low on average. And if we have a large mean, then it means a high on average. I forgot my A right here because I'm doing a weird cursive-y thing. Okay. So those are the two things we're given. So let's go ahead and go to the next page here and see what we get when we start. Okay. So the ages of the numbers of 4 teams are summarized below. Answer the questions about them. So we're given mean for all the teams and we're given the range for all the teams. It says based on the information above, which team's ages have the least variability. So remember, we want the low end of that. So we want to look at range to think if we're thinking about variability. So we want to look at the one that has the smallest range. Go to the range numbers here and go, which one's the smallest? Well, that would be D because D has a range of 23. So let's go with team D on that one. And then based on the information above, which team has the oldest members on average? So high, low, old, young, we kind of have to match those up. So we want to say high on average. We're thinking of mean now, so we need to look at the means, and we want to look for a large mean so that we have a high on average, which would mean that they were the older ones. So let's look for a large mean. So we're going to go over to mean. Which one has the largest? Team A. Then we're going to click check. And we're good. All right, next one. The salaries of the employees at 4 companies are summarized below. Answer each question about them. So here we have a range of the salaries first, and then the mean is second. So be careful about that. Make sure you read. Alex does like to flip-flop things. Based on the information above, which company salaries have the most variability? So let's go back over here. Variability is in the range category. And for most, least, high, low, again, we need to match up those words. So most would go with high. So we want to look for a large range. So let's go to the ranges here, and we want to look for the biggest number. And 57 is the winner, so company B. All right, based on the information above, which company has the highest salaries on average? So we want to go on average, and we want high, so large, and we want a large mean. So we're going to go to the means here, and we want the largest mean. So 22 wins, so that's company D. Check. All right, one more. The test scores of the students in 4 classes are summarized below. So we have the mean of the students, and we have the range of their scores. Based on the information above, which class has the lowest scores on average? So let's go on average. Low, that means a small mean. So let's go here and find the smallest mean, which would be 116. So that's class C. And then based on the information above, which class's scores have the least variability? So we want low variability, which means we want a small range. So we want to go to the range, and we want the smallest one, which is 40. So that's class A. Check. Uh-oh, did I click one wrong? Let's see. Have a low variability, so that would be class A. Oh, darn it. 38 is smaller than 40. That was just my eyes playing tricks on me. So the 38 is definitely smaller than 40 for class D. That was just a silly mistake there. All right, one more then. So we have the ages of the members of 4 teams are summarized below. So we have the mean first and then the ranges. So based on the information above, which teams' ages have the most variability? So we want most or high variability, which means we want a large range. So we're going to go to the ranges, and we're going to look for the highest range. So 25 is definitely the biggest, so let's click C. And based on the information above, which teams have the youngest members on average? So we want to go on average, and we want youngest, which would be low, because young goes with low, old would go with high. So we want a small mean. So let's go mean, and we want the smallest one, which looks like it's 43. So team B. Check. All right, so we finished that one. Yay.